or the tax abatements programs. The tax abatement programs that can have big effects in your family, in every family of this town, and in the diversity of populations that we have. The tax abatement program, if you don't know what it is, it's important for you to get familiar with it because it can affect not only the life of your family, but the life of the coming generations. And the face of this town, it can change in the next 10 years. Let me talk to you about what is LERTA. What is LERTA, no? And how this has to come with many questions. LERTA stands for Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance. LERTA, Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance. This is a program statewide that has been implemented in many different places in the state. Therefore, it has already a long history. But also there are other examples, similar examples, in other places in the country. Each state might have certain examples of this. One of the big questions is why this is bad or wrong for the population. Because, come on, who will not see as a good thing to forgive taxes, to reduce taxes in order to improve the infrastructure of a town? No? Understanding that revitalization is the redevelopment of certain properties that has been old. In the town, it has been, especially in the East Coast, the buildings are old. We have many cities, many towns that come from the town of the colony. And many of these buildings that has been 300 years, 200 years, 100 years are still there, and many of those without upgrades. Well, you will say, what is wrong with that of it? Well, let's talk about this. While that is not wrong, while of course it's good to improve the infrastructure, the problem here is the word revitalization. While for this program, revitalization has to do with improvement of certain buildings, the improvement of the facilities, the improvement of those buildings that has not been upgraded. For me, revitalization has to do with the people. Not necessarily with the money, and not necessarily with the buildings. However, with the people. When we talk about the revitalization of a town, I think in the people. I think the people is the one that makes possible the revitalization of the town. Now, let me tell you why this is problematic. Of every dollar that a developer has to pay, 20 cents goes to the municipality and 80 cents go to the school district. Who has more to lose? The school district. Now, let's remember that the school district of Norristown is already an underfunded school district that has not the resources that are needed to give ideal education and ideal programs. The school district of Norristown is underfunded in order to provide what needs to be provided to give full quality education. Therefore, what is the solution many times? Because remember, in the formula of the budget for the school districts, local taxes play a very important role. Most of the funding for local school districts come from the community. Some portion come from the state, and some portion might come from the federal. But remember that right now, President Trump is dismantling the educational department. Therefore, more and more the pressure will be in the local government, and it will be more in the local communities, most of the budget. As a result of that pressure, many times the solution for the local school districts is to raise the taxes. We just recently had an increase of taxes of 1.26%, meaning that starting the new bill, you will see that increase in the taxes, and you should expect that the landlord where you rent will increase your rent. And let me remind you that Norristown has already a housing crisis. Therefore, having said that, we have already a housing crisis post-pandemic. Now, with an increase of taxes, you can expect increase of rent, and you will expect that the crisis of housing will worse. No? Therefore, in this case, while it is attempting to forgive 80% of every dollar of tax to these developers not to pay taxes, the population has to close the gap of the budget of the school district. Now, the tax abatement is not a full forgiving of taxes on the period of 10 years. On the period of 10 years is like I will say like a scale. The first year they pay, they don't pay. No, the full taxes are forgiven. The second year, they might have to pay the 10%. The third year, they might have to pay the 20%. And just like that, through the years, until the year 10, in which they had to pay again the full taxes. However, in a period of 10 years, a good portion is forgiven. A good portion is not paid. Who is suffering? The school district. Who is suffering? The students. The students. We are already asking the school district to the schools to respond to the many crises, and now thinking that they will not have the funding that they deserve. That is why the previous board members of the school district, Chris Jaramillo, Tessie Ruiz, Melissa Novoa, they rejected the idea of the tax abatement because they were thinking first two things. They were thinking in the children that need the resources, the students need the resources, and they were thinking in the community, that the community is already working hard to resolve the economical situation that they have, and then they say no. While the municipality approved the tax abatement and they say, okay, we can forgive the 20%, the school district under Chris Jaramillo, Tessie Ruiz, Melissa Novoa, they say no. And that may upset people. Of course, people with power were upset. People with power were upset. They didn't like that these directors of the school district rejected the tax abatement. And the solution was to remove them, and the solution was to bring people who will agree with them and vote yes to this tax abatement. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Let's remember that that was the reason why they were removed. Now, if you don't believe me, January 27, the second board meeting of the current board, led by Jeremiah Lemke, with Vice Chair Cynthia Davenport, with Bill Caldwell, among others, January 27, in a very silent way, they canceled the policy and vote that the previous board did in rejecting the tax abatement, opening the door to vote again, and I believe this time to approve it. But remember that they just raised your taxes. And now they will vote to forgive taxes to a corporation. When Jeremiah Lemke was in this studio, we touched base on this. And he says people My misinterpret of it, tax abatement is not corporate welfare. And I say, no, Jeremiah, it's actually a corporate welfare. Because the gap of taxes has been closed by the people in order to pay what it will cost to the corporation to pay. Now, these corporations, these developers has the money. These are millionaire people. This is people with resources. And believe me, they are business people. They are not doing charity. They say that they are doing affordable housing until a certain point. But after year 15, that affordable housing might be no longer about affordable housing. It is a temporary thing. Therefore, when I think in permanent solutions, it has mostly to do with the people. For me, revitalization is to stimulate the entrepreneurs that we have among us, is to stimulate the schools, is to stimulate the streets, and encourage the people to do the revitalization of the town from the talent of the people. If we will do tax abatement, let's do it with the residents that we have. When they have plans and when they have ideas to start new businesses, to create jobs, to revitalize their streets. Why don't you do the same thing to the local people? Now, 62% of this town rent, meaning that 62% of this town can be easily displaced by the tax abatements. Let me tell you, for example, one of these developers rebuilt one of these buildings, displaced 10 families from there. Those families are never coming back. Because once that building is refurbished, it will be more expensive, difficult for those families to pay. If tax abatement is accepted, the displacement of people will start, and 10 years from now, you will remember what I am saying today. Because that's how it works in many other places of the country. There are precedents of this gentrification happening through tax abatements to developers, while the residents do not have the same opportunity of the tax abatements, while the young people do not have the same opportunity of the tax abatement. I believe in the development of the people through their talents and through their dreams. And I believe that revitalization is through the people, through community. I believe it. And it's so important that other leaders, other organizations, openly declare where they stand. Now, next Monday, this coming Monday, it's so important you to go to the school district, 7 p.m. before, then you can speak there in the public comments. And you can say, if you agree, well, you say that you agree. But if you disagree, you say, I disagree. But the important thing is that you express your opinion and that you make a research on this. Don't take my whole word. I have made my research. But do your own research. And check how tax abatements has been the key point for gentrification and displacement of families, especially families which economics has been in a struggle and uphill. Immigrant families, minority families, communities that are minorities has been displaced. While the property tax increase and advance, also as part of the tax abatement, the people that lives in the town. Therefore, 62% that pay rent are in big risk of displacement, and the other 38% are in risk that the property taxes will increase too, once that the alerta and the economic revitalization happens. That is the difference here, that I believe that the economic revitalization happens through the people, while they believe that the revitalization of the town happens through tax abatements. Do the same tax abatements to the people. People that has dreams. The talent of the people can do great things. And we have seen it as immigrants We have opened many businesses in this town. We have created many jobs in this town. Without the tax breaks, we are already revitalized. Believe in the people, and the revitalization will come. I believe in the people, and that is why I always say, Viva la comunidad. Long life to the community. Thank you so much. I will continue talking about this, but very important for you to know, June 15, Monday, June 15, 6:45 p.m., a school district on Norristown, be present, speak, and if you are a social leader of another organization, come clear with your position. It's so important, because 10 years from now, silence will track everyone who has been silent these days. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Good afternoon. From the city of the brotherly love, Philadelphia, and the suburb of Norristown, you have been in Dialogues of the Immigrant Village. I am your friend Obed Arango, and in the control